Alright, welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 275. We're here to discuss episodes 13 through 16. Before I talk about the actual episodes themselves, there was a character I forgot to mention last episode. Professor Yagami. He made his debut in episode 12. He's also for 13 and 14. Gone for an episode, but he does come back for 16. Yeah, he's basically a recurring character here. He doesn't appear as much throughout this stretch of episodes, but he's here for about a handful of these stretch about 20 episodes. Yes. Now, in episode 13 is noteworthy for being one thing. It is the final episode of the independent monsters. Yeah, basically what this guy is, it's kind of a, yeah. Yeah, the whole thing about this guy, make people rich, and it's a weird episode, but then 14 comes around. 14 I found to be quite interesting, to say the least. The reason why, because this episode is noteworthy for one particular thing. It is a debut of Young Noble Jr. That is the guy's name. I did not make it up. But that's his human form. His yokai form is Kanshiro. If you see this guy in the show, he turns into this form, you're like, wait, that's Rita Revolto, Rita's brother. And you would be right. Except character-wise, it isn't. But the suit is basically used for Rita Revolto, so that part is correct. Yeah, this guy is Rita Revolto's Sentai counterpart. Are we going to see Master Vile? Because, well, he made his debut in Season 3 of My Power Rangers. Does he show up in this series? Yes, he does. I will not mention when, but he will show up here. Yeah, apparently, Young Noble Jr., he is basically, at this point, the ruler of the yokai. Interesting, though, they introduced a main bad guy 14 episodes in. Now, this is the first time I've ever seen this for any of the Sentai I've watched, where the main villain, well, with the character about Bokenja had several main villains. Excuse me, where the character is not introduced in the debut episode. Which I found that to be quite interesting. Basically, the whole thing about the monster this episode is that he's a hairy monster. Oh, if you're really curious, for the last known independent monster, did he pop up in Power Rangers? The answer is, yes he did. As Slotsky, he appeared in an episode Climb Every Fountain, which was the 36th episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3 of the show. Yep, it was basically, yeah, the whole point of bringing this guy in was just to deter the Beast Generals. And he was the last one until episode 22. 22 was is actually, in a way, the last independent monster actually had. Which he shows up 22. We'll get to him, don't worry about that. And then, of course, we're introduced to Kakuranger. Who gets upgraded form here. Yeah, he's been appearing in the background since episode 3. And he basically was in 326. He appeared in the movie. And then he appears in Young Noble's debut. He appears a couple more times after this, and that's it. His whole thing is that he makes people sick. That's really his only job. And then we have in episode 14, we have the Soten Joji brothers. Yeah, they're basically here for a couple episodes. Oh, Amakuri, he's going to return episode 17. We'll talk about him next episode. But here's something under Koshiro. He doesn't have many monsters under him. Not really. After the brothers basically show up, he has roughly like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 monsters, and all the rest of the monsters work for his work for Master Vile's counterpart, which I'll get to him. Don't worry about that. I found that basically that 14 interesting aside from his debut. There's nothing really else noteworthy about the guy. Of course, they kind of see him as monster form pretty briefly, and The whole thing with the next two episodes is that, oh, there's also an introduction to another group of characters, the Flower Kanochi team. Yeah, they're here for these two episodes, and then they're absent in episode 20. Excuse me. Yeah, they're actually not here very much at all. Not really, which is kind of weird. It seems like early on they didn't appear very much at all, and then like throughout the last quarter of the series they appear a lot more. Yeah, simply put, they were the helpers to the Doji brothers to basically try to weaken the Kakurangers. They're trying to do a massive plan. Oh, by the way, whenever Monster's defeated, he's very sad. He did take away he did take away Professor Yogi, but he came back in episode 16. Oh, I should point out that he was not punished because this is one of those occasions where when Monster's defeated and the villain is not throwing a hissy fit over it, because that's been the case of a lot of the Sentai I've watched, with the exception of Denzi Man. That's the only one I can think of where they're not basically raising their fists, not beating up their subordinates for failing to feed the Ranger team. That's basically been the standard staple of Sentai since like the beginning. Excuse me. But this one, no, he doesn't. He just has the professor taken away briefly, but he doesn't punish him. I don't see much difference. He's not like what happened Baxter Stockman in the 2003 series. Every time he failed, a body part was removed. Like, he was at one point down to a brain and an eye, and eventually he got himself a clone body. Excuse me, yeah. So they trap him in the wandering forest, and they also basically trick their food truck with catnip. Yes, catnip. Yeah, and they also redirect them to another town because they have to go town to town, just basically kill all the yokai. That's basically what they do. I mean, this is one thing I don't like about Kakuranger, is that they don't have a definitive base operations. You could say the food truck kind of is, because basically that's kind of their base, but that's a business. Fine. But they probably don't want to stay in one town too long because it's yokai all over the country. So there's that. But lucky enough, the next thing they'll get into, they'll have prop base operations, where it's kind of not exactly funded per se, but it's an actual place they can stay instead of staying in a food truck that's sentient. That's a sentient cat. But that's mild. I don't have it's a minor issue per se I have with Kakuranger. I mean, the food truck is nice. I don't mind the fact that they do business, but do they have to live in this damn thing? I mean, they actually show in episode 16 of how really cramped the damn thing is. And here's the thing. There are 5 people living in that damn food truck. Excuse me. You're probably thinking, okay, then what about the one in Goanger? That one they lived there, but at least they had it like in the back of their vehicle. They actually had a proper base, like a proper meeting room where they can make all weapons, like that. That was better. And at least that was financed. According to a theory I've heard, that maybe that the Red Ranger, who was a Homo racer, maybe he financed the team, presumably, but never stayed in the show. And this one, I'm like, who's financing the team? You could say Dasami. That's possible. Also in these episodes, this is quite interesting. Their mentor, well, the guy who's supposed to be their mentor, he does not appear in these episodes. And you think, really? Yeah, really. I mean, here's the strange thing about this guy. It's like he has to appear very rarely in the show. Like, if you think about it, he'll appear in, like, I think the last time he showed was back in, like, episode... I think, like, basically, like, the last time I think it was back in episode 12, I think it was. I think it was, like, episode 11. Yeah, he's basically, the best way to think of the mentor, he's like a recurring character. I think that's kind of odd. The fact he's just here as a recurring character, not a main part of the cast. Because normally, put when they have mentors, they usually appear from start to finish. They're usually there. They're not there whenever they feel like they need to appear. Because that's what it seems like. He seems like he shows up whenever he feels like it. Yeah. But aside from that, I did find that these two episodes were really good. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I thought they were really good episodes. It felt as though like there's no silliness in this episode. It's like, yeah, all that slapstick they had from the previous episodes, yeah, it's not here. Excuse me, because it's not as over the top as it once was. It seems like once they introduce Young Noble, it's like all that seriousness is gone. It's like not here. Because, well, the boss has shown up, so let's make it darker, per se. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it, anyways. Yep. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for the particular review to talk about these 4 episodes. Yes? Yes? I guess it's ready. So, I'll see you all later. Bye.